Blog Talk Radio.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Franchise Interviews, where for over 4 years we've been asking the entrepreneurs who own one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott, with my co-host, Don Johnson. And if you ever dreamed of owning your own business, then you've come to the right place. We have a great show today. We're meeting with Tony Padulo, Vice President of Franchise Sales, Aamco. And Aamco is the world's largest chain of transmission specialists and one of the leaders in total car care services. And that's coming up in segment 2 of Franchise Interviews.
Are you one of those special people who are willing to go after your dreams and goals? Are you ready to fulfill that dream of owning your own business with the security of a proven brand? The opportunity to take control of your future and own a Rita's Italian Ice franchise is within your reach.
Rita's is seeking success-oriented individuals who are ready to make a change in their life, and Rita's offers unparalleled training and support to assure your success. And did you know the frozen treat industry is a recession-proof industry, and there are Rita's in 23 states currently with 540 stores open. Rita's Italian Ice has been around for 25 years and is listed as a top-performing franchise by the Wall Street Journal.
Now here's the really good part. Rita's Italian Ice is a unique and amazing taste treat. It's smoother than a snow cone, and it combines ice with real fresh fruit. The real fruit adds dramatically to the taste, and it comes in over 40 flavors. The ice and fruit are mixed on site and made fresh daily, and it is delicious.
You'll want to know more about this exciting and successful franchise opportunity. Go to www.ownaritas.com and get all your questions answered. That's www.ownaritas.com to take control of your dreams and future today. You don't want to wait any longer to be a part of this adventure. www.ownaritas.com.
Who's helping build America one small business at a time? Franchise Inc., a free consulting service.
For years, Franchise Inc., a national company, has been helping people franchise their business concept and help folks like you own a franchise.
With over 2,500 franchise systems out there, it can be awfully confusing. Don't take chances with your future. At Franchise Inc., we've done the homework for you. We can help match your interest and background with the franchise that's right for you. And we only work with proven franchise systems with a solid reputation and track record of success.
The consultants at Franchise Inc. can help you with your short and long-term wealth strategy.
Give us a call today and we'll send you free our best-selling book, Solving the Puzzle of Owning a Franchise.
Remember, it's not just owning a franchise, but finding the right one for you. Call us at 800-961-0420 for a quick consultation to discuss what's important to you, your business, and your future.
The service is free. The book is free. What do you have to lose? Find the business that's right for you.
Call Franchise Inc. at 800-961-0420. That's Franchise Inc. at 800-961-0420.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Franchise Interviews, where we're asking the entrepreneur who owns one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott, with my co-host, Don Johnson. And if you ever dreamed of owning your own business, then you've come to the right place. And today's show is being brought to you by Franchise Times Magazine. Franchise Times is the only magazine that targets both franchisors and multi-unit franchisees, and it's a must-read for anyone looking to buy a franchise. How you doing today, Don? Welcome back.
I'm fine, Marty. Doing well this week. How are you?
Good. Enjoying the summer. You know, it's been a hot one for last weekend. You know, it was pretty brutal out there, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's been a hot summer. We went from a very cold, really rough winter to one of the rainiest Marches ever here in the Northeast. I think it almost broke a record, and now we're having a lot of heat, but, the way it goes.
Yeah, absolutely. Our last show, Don, we met with CEO Marc Charnay from the American Prosperity Group franchise opportunity. And if you missed the show, American Prosperity Group, a 10-plus unit franchise concept headquartered in Wayne, New Jersey, was founded by Marc, a certified annuity specialist, with a mission to continue helping people solve their individual problems of successful retirement and estate planning. I thought it was an interesting show. It was different, and it was also new for our library in the 4 years that we've been doing the show, wasn't it? So I thought it was a good show to have on.
It's an important service. It's it's something that everybody has to do. Every family, every couple has to, at some point, sit down early on, kind of map out their plan on savings, retirement. It's, unfortunately, too many people kind of let it go. Time goes by. If you'd really address it early, just make sure you're getting the right plan, the best plan. It's so important to save up for the future.
Well, it's true, Don. People spend so many years planning for the future, and I think that they don't put a lot of thought into, what kind of plan they're going to go with. I think you really need an expert in sort of guiding you in this area, you know what I mean? And that's where American Prosperity Group, comes in handy. We talk a lot on this show about, using experts, like whether it's a franchise consultant or franchise attorney or a good accountant, to help you in guiding you in making a decision to buy a franchise, because it's such a big decision, isn't it? This is also one of those big decisions that you're going to make in life. So I think it's a well-needed service, and I think they're going to continue to grow. It's always interesting having, I won't say a newer concept on the show, but maybe a franchise that we may have been unfamiliar with, or didn't know a lot about, and then that's what our show has done. Even a couple of weeks ago, we introduced, was it the Eagle Rider franchise opportunity? I said, you and I never even heard of them. And after the show, we said, wow, what a great concept, so it was pretty interesting, So
I've been in franchising over 10 years, a business owner 20 years, and, always learning something new pretty much every day, but especially from doing this show, there's still franchises we haven't heard about.
Yeah, exactly. You think that we've spoken to all of them up to this point, and we haven't. We're still learning every single show. I was thinking this, would be an interesting husband-wife franchise opportunity. We haven't spent a lot of time talking about that. Every so often we'll get a question from our listeners, what's a good husband-wife franchise opportunity? I thought this one might make an interesting one. You are working in an office. You're not going to people's homes. The customers are coming to your home, but of course you need a manager and things like that, So, there's some of them out there that make that great, husband and wife franchise opportunity. Not all of them, So it was pretty interesting. We'll have to, again, as I always say, we'll keep our eye on them, watch as they continue to grow, and once we see that growth, we'll have them come back with perhaps a franchisee next time.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Yeah. So, we got a great show today, don't we?
Yeah, Tony Padulo, Vice President of Franchise Sales and Development, Aamco. Company's been around since 1962. Very well known nationally. World's largest chain of transmission specialists. Just one of the overall leaders in just car care in general.
Yeah, absolutely. And they got the whole franchising thing down, too, don't they, Don? They really have a system there at Aamco. I've been following them for a decade, since I got into franchising, and I've always been impressed with them. Even Anthony Martino, I guess the founder of the company, he was considered, I always said if it was like a Hall of Fame of franchising, I think they probably would have put him in it. It's one of those legends in franchising, so I'm sure we'll talk to Tony about that as well.
Right. Yeah, well, you definitely want to, it's always interesting, obviously, to hear the whole story, history, and a lot of history there with Aamco.
Oh, most definitely. We had a couple articles that we wanted to get to, and I think that we couldn't get to last week because the first segment always seems to just fly by. So I know you had some interesting ones that we needed to kind of discuss. Yeah,
here's something, Marty, from the Denver Post, our favorite, one of our favorite papers around the country.
There you go.
Margaret Jackson. Metro franchises rise as proven models hit the ground running. Widespread job losses combined with strong regional demographics have turned Metro Denver into a popular spot for franchises. I think it's interesting sometimes to focus on certain cities and how they're adapting to the economy and how franchising is making an impact on them. And, you and I, from doing the show, this is definitely one of the cities in the whole country, not amazingly, but has become kind of one of the centers for franchising with the amount of franchisors who are based out of this city, and I guess they have a lot of franchising activity in general.
It's probably one of the most popular cities. If we had to take the headquarters of franchises, I think it's probably up there, in the top one or top two. It was always amazing how often when we ask, the franchisor, where are you calling from today? We'll say from our headquarters in Denver. I think we've had that instance maybe 10 or 15 times out of almost, 200 shows. That's a lot,
Also, Atlanta's a pretty big area. I think just California in general has many franchisors based out of there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's a lot going on in Denver, though.
But even though many people who've lost their jobs want to go into business for themselves, getting financing remains a challenge. As a result, some franchise companies are making special offers to lure franchisees. Many landlords are negotiating more favorable lease rates to attract tenants. When the economy lags, franchising sees an increase in the number of people becoming franchisees, says Corey Bowman, VP of Franchise Development for the Pita Pit, Idaho-based quick-service restaurant chain that is expanding in the Denver area. People who were working and got laid off have a sour taste in their mouths and don't want to work for somebody else. Boy, how many times have we read that in the last especially few years?
Oh, yeah, most definitely.
Those buying into a franchise have the advantage of owning their own business, but doing so with a proven model that can start up quickly. In addition to the initial startup fees for opening a franchise, owners typically pay a % of sales back to the corporate entity. Of course, that's royalties. Nationwide, the number of franchise establishments is expected to expand by 2% this year. I guess any growth still in this rough economy is good news. After growing by more than 40% between 2001 and 2008, that's a stat we've read a lot. The number of franchises actually slightly declined between 2008 and 2009.
Okay.
Overall, Denver is very entrepreneurial, says Stacy Swift, owner of Denver-based FranNet, franchise brokerage consulting business. Even though the economy is bad, for some reason in Denver there seems to be some hope and some positive thinking. QSR Magazine, which follows trends in quick-serve, fast casual, and other limited service restaurants, identified Colorado as a market that is primed for franchise expansion based on growth in employment, income, disposable income, local gross domestic product, housing prices, and population. Franchise companies like the Denver market because of its diverse population, said Todd Owen, VP of Franchise Development for Wheat Ridge-based Qdoba. All but one Qdoba store in Denver is company-owned.
Wow.
Denver is a place for people from many different places who are open to new concepts and ideas that may not have much market share, he said. It's a less tradition-bound city. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, Denver's a cult. Have you ever been to Denver, Don? I don't know if
No, I never have.
Before. Okay, I mean, it's one of those great cities, kind of like, Chicago. But it certainly is a culture in Denver. And it's a popular tourist destination, too, isn't it? So,
right.
Yeah, I mean, I think it makes sense. That's interesting.
And, of course, real estate and quick-service restaurants are expected to expand faster than other categories, each increasing its franchises by about 3%. Looks like Pita Pit's growing in the area. The first couple of years are the most critical, Bowman said. If we can offer some sort of incentive to help people get financed and help them with their cash flow, we think that's a good business move. Franchisees are able to take advantage of lease rates and construction costs that are lower as a result of the downturn in the economy. But it's still tough to find good deals for prime locations, Bowman says. Landlords are getting creative to help franchisees get into business, noting that in one instance, a landlord provided $100,000 in financing to get a tenant. It's really unbelievable.
That's amazing. That's what we've been talking about, the last almost 2 years now,
right.
That these deals are being done out there. I think that's fantastic.
Right. And it goes on, Denver's consistent rankings as one of the best places to live, as well as its relatively stable economy, has made it one of 7 markets Wall Street Deli has identified for expansion. The restaurant chain, owned by True Foods, plan to build up to 10 new restaurants there. It's amazing how you just keep building, adding new locations, and I guess you build it, people will come.
Right.
It has a highly educated white-collar workforce, Gary Occhiograsso says. He's our friend. He's been on the show a few times. He's True Foods Chief Development Officer, out of Denver. Good companies are setting up shop in Denver because they can attract a better educated workforce, and that's where we want to be. So good stuff going on in Denver. It looks like
Denver.
Not only for franchisors, corporate offices being based out of there, but just franchise growth and development in general.
Exactly.
And it's funny, I was going to mention True Foods. We've known Gary for several years.
Gary's great. He's in our Great Quotes in Franchising podcast, which he's in there with like the legends like Michael Gerber, and Warren Greshus, So, I like Gary. He's good. We should have him back on the show. Yeah, definitely. I'll reach out to him, mention that we'll have him back on. In 2007, the franchising company acquired Pudgy's. That's what's been going on with True Foods. Pudgy's Famous Chicken, besides Wall Street Deli. Also, the franchising rights to Arthur Treacher's Fish and Chips. Wow. They also bought into Ritter's frozen custard. Then they started putting together their team. So it looks like Gary and them are really looking to turn True Foods around and really get the franchise going. It's interesting because a lot of these brands have history. They've been around for years. Maybe came on some tough times. Ritter's has been around. It was founded in 1948. Arthur Treacher's in 1969. Yeah, I remember Arthur Treacher's as a kid. It's Wall Street Deli, 1967. I didn't realize that was around that long. That's amazing. So Gary says, I saw it as an opportunity to take something that people know of and love and good food and really re-image it and rebrand and relaunch it to the franchise community. It was an opportunity to get involved and to put these brands back on the map. So we'll stay on top of that and have him on, like we said. Okay, good. Here's something through All Business, the truth about buying a franchise in your 20s. This is a topic that's come up in the past, and this was a pretty interesting article. When Justin Kopelman was fresh out of college, he didn't interview for jobs or choose a set career path. Instead, he tried his hand at entrepreneurship and purchased a Pita Pit franchise. Here we go with Pita Pit again. It's a popular franchise. But at 29, Sean Ligon struck out for business ownership and invested in a Duty Calls franchise. Yeah, I heard of those guys. Duty Calls. That's kind of the name implies what they do, But, right. But only in their 20s, both guys are already their own bosses, and they're not the only ones. Over the past decade, there's been a noticeable increase in a number of young adults opening franchises, according to David Kahn, founder of Franchise and Business Law Group, a law firm in the Baltimore area that represents early-stage franchisors and startup franchisees. Sounds glamorous to be 20-something and already own a franchise, but what's it really like? So they asked these guys, they say you're in a position where you can devote all of your time and energy to your franchise, which is a good point. If you're younger, there's a chance that you're single, probably have a lot more time to really work on your business. I agree. There's definitely advantages to going into it while you're younger. And, of course, I think there's also disadvantages, whether it might be that experience or maturity level, maybe, you know what I mean? Right. How this thing was actually financed on. Was it financed from your parents, or did, this gentleman get it financed on his own? I think there's a difference sometimes. I've heard of some stories. I think it talks about that a little bit, but that's a good point. Yeah. But when they say they don't have the family responsibilities, they're young. Our needs are minimal because we're young and healthy. Shelter, clothes, food, that's about it. Your age may help you connect with your customers. Some franchises focus on a younger clientele, so that's a good point. That maybe a lot of their customers are younger, and the owner's young. Might have a better relationship with the customers. That's interesting. For example, if a Pita Pit is like in a college-type location, here's someone who's very young, college age, that can be a good situation. That's interesting, yeah. There can be a huge learning curve associated with owning a franchise. One of the young guy's biggest challenge was managing the day-to-day tasks while also dealing with the behind-the-scenes responsibilities. I felt very confident about
serving customers and providing a great product, but doing payroll, taxes, rent, utilities are all foreign to me. Well, this can be a challenge for franchisees of all ages. Younger franchisees might be more prone to glamorizing the concept of owning a franchise without understanding the extent of the commitment or duties it involves. It's a good point. That's where the lack of experience comes in.
Exactly.
Getting funding can be a major obstacle. Getting a bank loan is tough for anyone, but it's really, really tough for someone who's young. They don't have credit history built up or experience. They probably don't have as much cash for a down payment needed to get a loan. One guy tried to secure a loan from the bank, but was not successful, so he took a huge gamble and applied for multiple credit cards and had special promotional rates. The business had not grown before the card's special promotions ran out. I would have been held personally responsible to pay off the credit card. So he really took a little bit of a risk, taking on potentially high credit card rate, but it looks like things worked out for him.
He did take a risk, didn't he? I mean, that's...
Right. Also, you may face age discrimination. Though you feel like an adult because you own your own franchise, getting others to treat you like one may be difficult.
Yeah.
He says he faces age discrimination. I guess when people see that you're very young and own a business, they're just going to think you're inexperienced or maybe not be on top of your game or run the business the way it should be.
Yeah, are they going to take you seriously, you know?
And the guy who owns the duty calls, he said, Marty, he goes, I once went into a local dog bakery to talk about cross-advertising, and the owner didn't take me seriously. I was just some young guy who picks up dog poop, not even knowing or considering the fact that I was a business owner who spends thousands of dollars a year in advertising. I had to make sure I got that quote in.
Well, it's a great point. As you're reading that, it made me think of something. I think you and I were talking about this person the other day, Carol Mercurio. She said something interesting when we had her on our show. It's about 3 years ago, Don. I don't know if you remember this, but she said, when you're at like a dinner party or something like that, and you're talking about, what you do for a living, are you going to feel proud about saying what you do?
Right.
It's one of the factors in buying a certain type of franchise opportunity. I mean, there's a lot of thought and there's a lot of questions that go into the whole process of buying a franchise. And one of the analogies she gave us, she said, picture yourself at a party and somebody says to you, what do you do for a living? Are you going to feel proud about responding? So it's just interesting in bringing up all these different points. It's a great topic, and again, it's one of those things I think we could talk about for hours, the pluses and the minuses. I don't know if you remember, we had a young franchisee on about 2 years ago, and the franchise was called I Sold It. Do you remember that one on eBay?
Right.
And the gentleman's name was, I think it was William Finkman. It's amazing I remember his name. And that type of franchise I thought was, kind of perfect for a younger type of entrepreneur, you know what I mean? Because it wasn't anything too expensive, and he has a strong feel of the internet. He's very comfortable with the internet. So I think there's some out there that are very appropriate. You mentioned, Pita Pit, working with college kids. I mean, who can associate better with college kids than, somebody who recently graduated from college, you know what I mean?
Right.
So absolutely. That's interesting.
And it goes on, the end of the article, Marty, are you thinking about buying a franchise? Before you do, read these pointers offered by Mr. Khan, the attorney. Measure whether you are willing to work within a system and follow it with some room for experimentation and modification, but always needing to get franchisors' approval for changes. Discuss with the franchisor whether he or she has made changes in the operating system based on franchisee ideas and feedback that allowed franchisees to experiment with modifications on a short-term basis. In other words, will you just be an order taker, or will there be entrepreneurial ideas discussed?
Right.
Do not rely on oral statements by franchise sales personnel about how much money franchisees make, what the profit margins are on certain product lines, or even how much money you need. For that information, rely on the franchise disclosure document the franchisor must provide you under law, and also what active and former franchisees tell you.
Right.
So that's some pretty good advice.
Yeah, no, it's something, I think you said it the other day, or it was 2 weeks ago on one of the shows that I went back to. is, yes, talk to franchisees, Don, but also talk to franchisees within your area. You know what I mean? So if you're in New Jersey, try to talk to franchisees in your geographical location, because they have a good understanding of the area, as opposed to talking to someone in maybe Idaho, you know what I mean, where it's different. Rent is different. Just things are different,
Right.
So try to talk to someone also in your area. They emphasize a lot in franchise books or seminars, to talk to franchisees, and I think that's great. But again, if you have your choice, try to talk to someone close to your area, because it's different markets. Different markets represent different things,
right.
Different opportunities, different threats, all of those things. So something to take into consideration. What else?
Let's see.
Was that it, or that was the end of the article? Or?
I think that was it as far as this article, Marty. And
okay, that's a good article. I mean, it's again, it's a lot of the things that we talk about on the show. I think sometimes we go a little deeper and we expand a bit on it. But yeah, I mean, I think those are all, of course, excellent points.
Yeah, I'm kind of as far as just finishing up on this article about people in their 20s. I mean, I guess I'm kind of mixed on it. I do feel that just having business experience, whether you work for yourself or someone else, it's just so crucial. Having that experience with people, and then it has to be the right type of business. I'm not saying people in their 20s just aren't as smart as someone in their 30s or 40s, but it really has to be the right type of franchise, really a simple business.
Right.
And but maybe they're going to have to work harder is really the bottom line to kind of make up and get that experience and to prove to people that, just because they're young, does not mean that they can be successful. And this article brought up good points that when you're in your 20s, there's a chance you are going to be single, not have a family, so you're going to have a lot of time to work and really put everything, all your energy and time into the business.
Right.
And
that first year, Don, I mean, you emphasize this a lot on the show, is that first year is going to be tough, I think there's some expectations of people think that they're just going to open up the doors and people are just going to come, and it doesn't work like that. I mean, one of my favorite articles you read, was about 2 months ago, was about a gentleman, I've referenced it a couple times up to this point, who he bought into a Subway franchise. Now here Subway is one of the top franchise systems, you can go as far as saying in the world, right? The guy had a worker who said he was working like 60, 70 hours a week the first year. Now again, it's one of the number one franchises according to some sources, whatever source you're referencing. But,
yeah, I mean, you think you would open it up wherever it is, and people will just start coming.
Running in. You know what I mean? It doesn't work like that. So it's and you need that energy level too, don't you? It's a younger guy or girl that's in her 20s. Perhaps, I guess that's maybe more energy than someone in their 40s or 50s, I don't know, try to think back, when you were in your 20s and, how much energy you had back then is probably a little more than what you have today, so it's, I think it's a great article. I love talking about this particular topic, because I think it's always one of those, great debate kind of thing, so,
right.
So maybe we'll have to have a special show on it as well, So I see our guest Tony is called in, Don. So why don't we do this? We'll take a quick break, and we'll be right back with more franchise interviews. Coming up in segment 2, they are rated number 1 in their industry by Entrepreneur Magazine. We're going to be meeting with Tony Padulo, Vice President of Franchise Sales and Development for the Aamco Franchise Opportunity, coming up on Franchise Interviews.
Big now!
Okay, you've got my attention.
It's a rare event in the world of franchising when an opportunity comes your way that can and will thrive in almost any economic environment. It's here, and its name is Big Mouth Advertising.
Big Mouth.
BMA is a leader in the exciting world of mobile media advertising. Why is mobile media advertising able to defy the economic cycles? The answer is obvious. In times of economic weakness, advertising is crucial for survival as the consumer dollar is scarce and the competition fierce. What is mobile media? It's the newest and fastest growing segment in the advertising world. Mobile media brings the message directly to the consumer. Mobile media goes to the consumer in traffic where he eats and where he plays. It quite simply cannot be turned off or thrown out. And when you join the Big Mouth team as a franchisee, you are joining the best. The Big Mouth advantage is simple and successful. We invest in a strong infrastructure and in great people. As a franchisee, you have access to this entire system, including telemarketing, sales maximization, general and administrative support, design and creative services, even billing and collection services. All you need is a mobile media vehicle, a driver, and the willingness to create a financially sound and limitless business for yourself. There are no long-term leases to sign, no expensive build-outs, no office personnel to hire. You will be part of the Big Mouth advertising community and share its entire website and reception services, as well as its complete back-office services. This virtual office guarantees you the freedom to close those sales that will make you a success. We are so proud of our successes that we have voluntarily disclosed our revenue statements. Now, how many other franchises are doing that? Even in these historically rough financial times, Big Mouth advertising has become a dominant force in the mobile media industry. Join the Big Mouth team and take the first step toward financial freedom. Please call Ron at 888-98-GO-BIG. That's 888-98-GO-BIG. Big Mouth!
Who's helping build America one small business at a time? Franchise Inc., a free consulting service.
For years, Franchise Inc., a national company, has been helping people franchise their business concept and help folks like you own a franchise.
With over 2,500 franchise systems out there, it can be awfully confusing. Don't take chances with your future. At Franchise Inc., we've done the homework for you. We can help match your interest and background with the franchise that's right for you. And we only work with proven franchise systems with a solid reputation and track record of success.
The consultants at Franchise Inc. can help you with your short and long-term wealth strategy.
Give us a call today and we'll send you free our best-selling book, Solving the Puzzle of Owning a Franchise.
Remember, it's not just owning a franchise, but finding the right one for you. Call us at 800-961-0420 for a quick consultation to discuss what's important to you, your business, and your future.
The service is free. The book is free. What do you have to lose? Find the business that's right for you.
Call Franchise Inc. at 800-961-0420. That's Franchise Inc. at 800-961-0420.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Franchise Interviews, where we're asking the entrepreneur who owns one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott, with my co-host, Don Johnson. And if you ever dreamed of owning your own business, then you've come to the right place. And as we were saying earlier, Don, we have a great show today because we're meeting with Tony Padulo, Vice President of Franchise Sales and Development for the Aamco franchise opportunity. And Aamco is the world's largest chain transmission specialist and one of the leaders in total car care services. The Aamco brand has approximately 900 automotive centers throughout the United States, Canada, and Puerto Rico. Hey, Tony, how you doing today?
I'm good. How are you doing? Thank you for having me on the show.
Tony. Great. Thanks for coming on. Tony, joining us is my co-host, Don Johnson. I think you might even know Don.
Yeah, I know,
Hi,
Tony.
Don.
How you doing? It's good to have you on. We've been looking forward last few weeks have you on, Tony, here about Aamco.
Well, I'm excited to be on, and I do appreciate the opportunity, so thanks for inviting me.
You're welcome, Tony. Tony, I would like to ask our guest where you're calling from this morning.
I'm in Horsham, Pennsylvania, which is just northeast of Philadelphia.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I'm in Williams Township, Pennsylvania, which is, I guess, about 50 miles north of you guys, so I know Horsham well, so that's fantastic.
We're almost neighbors.
Absolutely, yeah. So I know what the weather is there today.
It's a little bit more muggy today.
Yes, yeah. Tony, I was reading your resume. I mean, you've been in franchising a long time. Did you want to tell, I guess, a little bit about what you were doing before joining Aamco?
Sure. Well, as you said, I've been in the franchise and real estate world for my entire career, for over 30 years. The bulk of that experience lies with Dunkin Donuts and Baskin-Robbins. I worked with them for 22 years. 10 of those 22 years, I headed up the international development group, where I was responsible for developing about 30 new countries around the world for both Dunkin Donuts and Baskin-Robbins, and then came back to our domestic team and headed our domestic development, again, for the two brands. When I left Dunkin in 2003, moved on to ARCO Gas, AM/PM convenience stores out on the West Coast, and was there to revitalize their franchise development program and rebuild the franchising concepts that they had. Worked there a couple of years, and then by coincidence ended up back on the East Coast in the Boston area, where I had been with Dunkin Donuts, and worked as senior VP of franchise development for a regional company, Papa Gino's Inc., which is the holding company for both Papa Gino Pizzas, the largest pizza chain in New England, as well as D'Angelo's Grilled Sandwiches. And this year, lucky enough, in March of this year, I've been lucky enough to start this incredible journey with Aamco Transmissions.
That's great. I think that's maybe where, Tony, you and I first started speaking when you were at Papa Gino's. I think we've met at a trade show or two also. So great. I'm glad you're found a home now you're happy with, a long-time organization, very well known nationally. So tell us about the history of Aamco.
The company
Yeah, okay.
Oh, go ahead, Don. Yeah, it was good.
I was just going to say, Tony, maybe tell us about how Aamco started and how it became such a leader.
Sure. The company started right here in the Philadelphia market back in 1962. It was founded by Anthony A. Martino, which is where the Aamco name comes from. So it was really the AAM company. Right. And he, along with partners, had a transmission shop, and by coincidence met a fellow called Robert Morgan, who had been in the franchising business, and together they formed the franchise business in 1963. So they actually took the first Aamco center and developed a franchise business out of it. And over the last 50 years, in fact, we're almost at 50 years, we're getting ready to celebrate our 50th anniversary in 2013, have built a very strong, a very robust franchise system, which is almost 900 units. The interesting part, guys, is that the original Aamco store center, not only is it still in business, but it's still in business with the original operator who used to work with Anthony Martino.
Wow. That's incredible. Wow.
Yeah.
So that says a lot about our business and the concept and how people, once they come into the business, stay with us. We have many multi-generational owners in the business. So it's something that we're very, very proud of. Now,
most franchises, Tony, a business opens, they open up a few units, they start to become successful, and then maybe they consider franchising. But right from the start, I guess Tony and Aamco and his associate just wanted to start franchising right from the start. That was pretty interesting and pretty innovative probably back then, right?
It was extremely innovative because as you know, the actual franchising businesses started probably in the late 50s. I mean, Dunkin Donuts was one of the forerunners of the franchise concept. McDonald's, of course. So at that point in 62, or 63, you're still in the early stages of franchising, and to take just one store or one center and say, what, we have one, let's build this brand, let's build it out. And I'm sure nobody at that point, which is how most franchises start, they start locally, they become regional, next thing you know they're national, and then they're international as well. So it's just amazing how a good concept can grow.
Right.
Yeah, a lot of people say he was an amazing man too, Tony, Mr. Martino. I've had conversations with other people before. I've never actually met him or spoken to him, but I mean, they've said nothing but great things about him. Kind of like he was a legend in franchising.
That's what I understand. Unfortunately, I've never had the pleasure of meeting him myself. I know that he did pass away a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
But certainly, whenever people speak of him, it's always very well, and certainly, an innovator in the franchising business.
Absolutely.
So what's so unique about Aamco, people listening, thinking about buying a franchise? I mean, obviously it's a franchise system, but how would you describe the franchise to a potential investor, Tony?
Well, the way that we look at our concept, I mean, if you're looking at franchising, I think the first thing you've got to do as a potential franchisee is look first at what are you looking for as a franchisee. What things are important to you? Is it quality of life? Is it a strong return on investment? Is it a vehicle that you're looking for to serve as a retirement vehicle? Are you looking to build a business for the family? In our case, we think we meet all of those. In fact, we know we meet all of those. But I think the one area which really differentiates us from many, many other franchisees is the area around the quality of life. And what I mean by that is, unlike a lot of retail businesses, our business is a 5.5-day week. It's Monday to Friday, typically 8 o'clock till 6 or 8 o'clock till 5. And Saturdays, typically half days from 8 until 12, which means that the franchisee at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock goes home, gets to spend time with his family, has most of his weekends free. And that really is a significant difference between us and many other retail concepts that you're looking at. Now, obviously, that's only one part of it, so assuming that that's an important factor to you, then you have to look at, the other traditional things that you would look at. You'd look at, the value of a strong franchisor, how stable is the system, has the system been growing, and can demonstrate to you that each year there is both organic growth from same-store sales as well as unit growth, because the two go hand in hand and really reinforce the strength of the brand. What kind of infrastructure does the company have? What kind of support can I expect as an incoming franchisee? Training. Do I need to know the business? Will you train me? Those are all areas that are important that we would be discussing along our process with our prospective franchisees.
We're speaking with Tony Padulo, Vice President of Franchise Sales and Development for Aamco. How has technology played a role with Aamco, Tony? I mean, it's been a lot of, things are a lot different today than it was, 20, yes, 30 years ago. So how has technology played a role with Aamco?
Well, I think to say that it would be huge would probably be an understatement. I mean, as you know, Marty, when you're looking at the changes that have been happening in automotive servicing, the electronic systems, they've been huge. I mean, repairing a car today compared to 20 years ago, or even as little as 10 years ago, is totally different. And so for us, it's been a huge area of concentration and focus. We have a dedicated technical staff, and the head of that staff is one of only 50 master ASA designated technicians in the world. So we're very, very proud of our workload. We have a full, for our franchisees, for example, we have a full library available to them that they just download or go online. If they're doing a repair, whether it's a transmission job or whether they're doing general repair, they can either call in to our 800 number where we have technical services available for them all day, or they can go online and we actually walk them through the process, help them diagnose the issues. And the fact that technology has grown so quickly is really a plus for us, because one of the biggest benefits for Aamco and why we've stayed at the forefront of other similar franchisors is that there truly is, in the transmission business, there truly is a barrier to entry. And by that I mean it's such a complicated business that for somebody to come in and start from scratch, it's very difficult. And that's why you see that we're the only national transmission company in the U.S. Nobody else has been able to do that. They're able to do other total car care, but the technology around transmission and related work is so highly developed that it's very difficult for somebody new to come into the business.
That's true. Definitely. And it's still it's a very big industry, Tony. I mean, are there any numbers, as far as how big your industry actually is?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we track that, very carefully. We're involved with the AAIA, and they do an aftermarket report yearly. So when we look at what we call the light vehicle aftermarket, that is the amount of potential work that is out there available per year, both in parts and labor. That number currently today is at about $160 billion opportunity in the U.S. alone. And the interesting part is that it continues to grow every year at about $5 billion a year. So the Lang report estimates that in 2011 it'll be at about $165 billion, and in 2012 it'll be at $170 billion. So just huge numbers.
Wow. Yeah.
And then when you take that, when you take that number and you look at two other factors that add in, one is the number of vehicles that are on the market and the age of the vehicles, because as you know, because of the economy the past few years, people have shied away from buying new cars, so they're actually keeping their cars longer. The average age of a car right now is almost 11 years. So we have more cars on the road, the people are keeping them longer than ever before, and we have less overall service base available. Over the last 10 years, there have been 50,000 bays that have closed throughout the U.S. So again, what that means is that those businesses that are still in business, the opportunity is for more vehicles per bay of service available when you put in all of those features. So we truly are, a recession-resistant business, and one that continues to grow annually. So we're very, very proud of that fact.
I guess the reason for the closings, Tony, maybe is maybe just poor management. I mean, I know it can be a number of reasons, but it's why the strength of franchising, people knowing the Aamco name, why they want to go back. I guess it's competition. It hurts other businesses. But you're right, it's a good point. People are, during this recession, times are tough for people holding on to their cars, so it's really putting Aamco in a real nice position right now. I'm sure a lot of your franchisees are doing well, and there's more expansion options for them, I guess.
Absolutely. It's a combination of those. And, on the franchise, obviously, when you look at the strength of a brand, I mean, today, more and more, it's all about branding. People trust a brand. People trust a national brand because, if nothing else, they're assured of consistency and quality and convenience. For example, in our business, we are the only brand that offers a nationwide warranty on our work. So that means you could have your work done here in Philadelphia. You can do a transmission job here in Philadelphia. You're taking a road trip with the family and the kids, and you end up somewhere in, you were talking about Colorado earlier, and something happens. Well, you don't have to worry. You just have to go to the closest Aamco, and they will honor that warranty. They'll do the work to you with no issues, and you're back on your feet and back on the road. So issues like that are very important. People appreciate that. The other thing that we have introduced since 2005 is our total car care. We have such a strong customer awareness amongst our transmission customers. I mean, our brand has over 96% customer awareness, and more importantly, our customers trust us. And the philosophy is that if our customers trust us with transmission, which is probably the most important or the most complicated part of the automotive repair business, then they're also more likely to trust us with their other repairs. So over the last 5 years, we've seen our business evolving. I mean, as stable and as established as we are, we also recognize that we have to keep up with the times. So we have been evolving our business to be not only a transmission business, which is still very much the core of our business, but we've also expanded into the total car care. And the benefit of that is that over the last 5 years on the total car care, our same-store sales have been seeing double-digit sales growth every year over the last 5 years, and we fully expect that trend to continue well into the future.
Impressive.
Well, we have to take a quick break. Are you able to stick around for another segment?
Absolutely. Be happy to.
That's fantastic. We'll be right back with more franchise interviews.
Franchise Interviews. For over 2 years now, Franchise Interviews has been giving you an up-close, behind-the-scenes look at franchising and entrepreneurship.
Through our website, franchiseinterviews.com, where you can hear and read interviews as well as get tips from some of the most successful sources in franchising.
And our weekly franchise radio show, where each week you get to hear a new interview with franchisors, franchisees, franchise authors, experts, and attorneys.
And our free franchise newsletter, which is a must-read for anyone looking to buy a franchise.
And don't forget to listen to our podcast, Great Quotes in Franchising. For more information, go to franchiseinterviews.com or call us at 610-905-2919.
That's 610-905-2919. Are you one of those special people who are willing to go after your dreams and goals? Are you ready to fulfill that dream of owning your own business with the security of a proven brand? The opportunity to take control of your future and own a Rita's Italian Ice franchise is within your reach.
Rita's is seeking success-oriented individuals who are ready to make a change in their life, and Rita's offers unparalleled training and support to assure your success. And did you know the frozen treat industry is a recession-proof industry, and there are Rita's in 23 states currently with 540 stores open. Rita's Italian Ice has been around for 25 years and is listed as a top-performing franchise by the Wall Street Journal.
Now here's the really good part. Rita's Italian Ice is a unique and amazing taste treat. It's smoother than a snow cone, and it combines ice with real fresh fruit. The real fruit adds dramatically to the taste, and it comes in over 40 flavors. The ice and fruit are mixed on site and made fresh daily, and it is delicious.
You'll want to know more about this exciting and successful franchise opportunity. Go to www.ownaritas.com and get all your questions answered. That's www.ownaritas.com to take control of your dreams and future today. You don't want to wait any longer to be a part of this adventure. www.ownaritas.com.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Franchise Interviews, where we're asking the franchipreneur who owns one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott, with my co-host, Don Johnson. And if you ever dreamed of owning your own business, then you've come to the right place. We have a great show today. We're meeting with Tony Padulo, Vice President of Franchise Sales Development for the Aamco franchise opportunity. And Aamco is the world's largest chain of transmission specialists and one of the leaders in total car care services. And Don, I think you're up.
Yeah, Tony, what are some of you have so many franchise units, all different types of owners. Are there certain characteristics you look for in a franchisee as you continue to grow?
Sure, that's an interesting and complicated question at the same time, because one would think when you think of transmission and total car care that we are specifically looking for people with automotive experience, and to be very honest with you, that's not what we're looking for. We actually prefer when people don't have that kind of background, because of the strong and the robust training that we offer both pre and during the opening. It's actually easier for us to train our franchisees to operate successfully, with the training. So to answer the question, I think that the characteristics we look at, I always look at, having been in the business for so many years, you have the prerequisites, obviously having the cash available, having a desire to operate your own business, the dedication, the ability to manage a business. But what I've always looked for, what I've found over my 30 years, that what has always been to me the most important part of looking at the qualifications of a franchisee is the passion and the dedication that candidate has during the process. We want franchisees that believe in the brand, that honestly believe that this brand is what they're looking for, meets their dreams, will allow them to reach their dreams, and they see the value of the franchisor and the systems that are in place, and really believe in it. So that's really what I look for primarily.
Okay.
I don't know if that answers the question, but it's really much more around belief, dedication, meeting their goals, as opposed to experience.
Okay. And maybe talk about training a little bit. I'm sure that's something the franchisee really benefits from, a long, detailed training.
This is really a hallmark of our brand. We have our Vice President of Training, Mike Dadko, has been with Aamco for 35 years. He just celebrated his 35th anniversary this year.
Wow.
And he's absolutely incredible as a trainer. And what we do is we have a two-phased training program. Prior to opening the store and while the center is under construction, we provide a 3-week training course, which is given here at our corporate headquarters for the franchisees, and if they want, they can bring their potential center manager with them. And the course is built around how do you run your business, how do you optimize, and how do you maximize your business, how do you get the best levels of revenue based on the opportunities. But where we differentiate ourselves, again, from a lot of other franchisors is that after that part of the training is done, because it's one thing to do classroom-style training, but the reality is when you get into your center and you open up the doors, panic usually sets in, and you see, gee, what did I learn? What have I forgotten? So what we do is we have, as part of our process, a 5-week program where we actually have a trainer come in and work with you and your entire staff for 5 weeks. I don't know any other franchisor that offers that level of training in the stores when they're ready to open. And that 5 weeks is usually split up. We do 3 weeks initially at the opening, probably leave for a week or two, give them a chance to operate on their own, make sure they're comfortable, and then we come in for the last 2 weeks and finish up our training. So that part is incredible. Then, on an ongoing basis during the course of your franchise agreement, we offer in the field training programs at every level. So whether it's on the customer service managers on how to respond to leads, how to build the business, or whether it's on the technical side for the technicians, how to do certain kinds of jobs, where we will have our technicians go in and do anywhere from a 1-day to a 1-week, as required, class in the field. So we assemble, local or regional centers, and they just bring their people in, and that's all done at our expense.
And I guess
for Tony to emphasize, or if you could just tell our listeners, because you've been in franchising such a long time, Tony. I mean, you obviously have a passion for franchising and you believe in it. What advice would you give to our listeners who are looking to buy a franchise? What would you say to them?
I would say the first thing you've got to look at, you've got to determine, is what are you looking for? I mean, I know I said it earlier, but that this truly is important.
Yeah, I agree,
Don't look at a franchise by segment. And what I mean by that is, especially having been with Dunkin Donuts and Baskin-Robbins for 22 years, I also know the QSR business quite well, and so many people say, I want to buy a restaurant, I want to buy a restaurant. But the reality is that may not be what they're looking for. I mean, restaurant business is 60, 70, 80 hours a week. Look instead what it is that will make you happy, because it's all about being happy. So understand what you're looking for, and then keep an open mind and look at what your financial resources are, and what can you buy in that range, as opposed to limiting yourself to segments. So, for example, our business model, our investment level, is between $225,000 to $299,000, with the average being around $240,000. So, if you were a prospective candidate, what I would say to you is look at the franchises that you can get in that price range, and start your search there, and then match them up. Obviously you're looking at all the traditional criteria. How long have they been in business? How stable are they as a franchisor? What kind of support will you get? I mean, those are all the the standard things you have to look at. But the most important is make sure that your needs are met, and that you find a franchise that meets those needs. Whatever your dream is, whatever your most important how would I put it? Your most important goal is match it against that.
Yeah, well said.
Great advice. Yeah,
I totally agree. Tony, we have about 60 seconds. What's the best way for our listeners to get more information on becoming an Aamco franchisee? Are there any websites or phone numbers they can call?
Absolutely. A couple of ways. One, you can go to our Aamco franchise website. That site is aamcofranchise.com. You can call our hotline where somebody will speak to you at 1-800-523-0402. So I would say between those two methods, you'll certainly be able to reach us, and we will respond to you quickly.
That's fantastic. I want to thank you again, Tony. You've been an incredible guest, and Don and I would both love to have you back in the future.
Oh, anytime. I'd be happy to. It's my pleasure.
Thanks so much, Tony. Have a great day today.
Thank you, and thanks again for inviting me. I appreciate the opportunity.
Our pleasure.
no problem.
All right,
Bye-bye.
Great show, huh, Don?
Yeah, good guy, long time in franchising, type of person we always want to have on the show with so much experience. And Aamco's an interesting story. We've had a few automotive franchises, but it's nice to have one of the leaders.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing when you look back at their history, isn't it? I mean, it's just an incredible history, strong history, and I think that's also very important when you're looking to buy a franchise. And, Tony was great about mentioning the quality of life. I think that's so important. I think there's a lot of people out there that get into the wrong franchise opportunity sometimes. Now, you have to ask your question, what do you want this franchise to do for you? And that's an amazing training program, isn't it?
Yeah, no doubt.
That's just incredible. So they make sure that their franchisees are just ready to go. So that's great to see. So good job on segment 1 today, Don. And for our listeners, go to franchiseinterviews.com where you can hear almost 200 interviews. 4 years we've been doing the show. GoFranchise.com, franchisefunding.net, and I'll be talking to you next week for another great show, Don.
Great, Marty. Have a great day.
Thanks, everyone, for listening. Have a great day.